What's up, everybody? We got Bob Clark on the podcast today with Herp House Rock. This is going to be an exciting, great video. Bob's an OG. I know we say that kind of often, but he really did get started in a lot of this stuff. There's things in this country that wouldn't be here without him. So stay tuned for this one.
Cool. Well, again, we got Bob Clark on this week. Very excited, and had a chance to talk to him a little bit before we got started. But, again, we talk about the guys who've been doing this for a long time. Albino Burmese Python, Albino Reticulated Python, Albino Ball Python. All were you to get us started in this hobby. And, again, really the Albino Burm was a great chance to prove that you can make a living selling reptiles. So a lot of the big guys in the hobby now, their first investment was with Bob on that project. And, you have guys like Barczyk, that was kind of that moment that really got his company going. So, Bob, I want to hear about the early days of the Burm. I want to hear about the headaches. I want to hear about the first clutch. I think you posted this past year. It's been 34 years since you hatched out the first albino.
Yeah. What a wonderful thing that was for me. Really, I didn't know it at the time, but it's something that it changed the course of my life. I was able to get a hold of that first albino animal and made some babies, and I had no idea what I was getting into, but boy, it's been a really wonderful thing for me.
It's very cool. So what year did you bring in the first albino, and was it a male, if I remember right, or was it a female?
It was a male, and I didn't bring it in. Tom Crutchfield did, and
okay.
And I had. I had seen a picture of the animal in a National Geographic magazine article on a Thai reptile dealer, and that was in 83. In fact, I've got it around here somewhere, but it had a picture of this reptile dealer in Thailand, and he had an albino Burmese python around his neck, and I thought, what could be more wonderful than that thing? I had Burmese pythons. I had been breeding them for a few years before that, but at some time after I started breeding, the Burmese albino corn snakes appeared, and I thought, that is the most fantastic thing I've ever seen, if it could only be in a python. And then I saw that picture of National Geographic, and while I was just trying to scheme a way to get the thing, I went up to the mailbox one day, and Tom Crutchfield's paper price list was in it, and at the top he had it, and I can't remember if he was selling it or just waving it around to show off, but I called him, and he said no, he didn't want to sell it. And I thought, well, boy, I would really, really, really like to buy it. Well, he didn't want to do that, but he said, maybe we could be partners for a while. And so eventually we made a deal. I got I paid Tom some money. He sent me the snake. I bred it and made some hets that year. And boy, as soon as I made the hets, Tom thought, well, I don't want to be partners anymore. And I thought, buddy, I don't either. So I didn't say that, but he said, I don't want to be partners. I want to sell the original animal. According to our contract, we had to keep that thing in the partnership. He had a buyer for it. He sold it. We split the hets. And to be honest, I don't know what happened to the other half of the hets. But Tom got those, and I made babies from my half.
How many were there? How many hets did you get?
Oh, I had about a dozen. And from that, I think I had 6 or 7 females. I got some of the females to breed, a couple of them to breed. You know what? I think I only got one of them to breed that first season at 18 months. And I hatched out 7 babies.
That's great.
Yeah.
And the 7 babies were visuals.
Yes, I hatched out 7 albinos and some possible hets.
That's awesome.
Cool.
So those are probably the first ones produced in captivity here, right?
I think they're the first ones produced in captivity anywhere.
Anywhere.
Yeah, I think there's been I think there was 3 albino animals that were caught in the wild, and I don't know what happened to the others. And then I think one appeared at some time later, and another adult. So, but anyway, I got those going. I had 7 the first year. I had 70 the next year, so it was good.
That's awesome.
So when the opportunity to get an albino retic came up, and then the albino ball was also, did you have to fight to get those animals, or at that point were you the albino guy and that first phone call just went to you?
Yeah, surprisingly not. I didn't have any competition, at least that of which I was aware. Anson Wong had the albino retic. I guess the albino ball python came next. He a friend of mine in the Netherlands said, "Hey, I know a guy in Africa and in Ghana that has an albino ball python." And I thought, well, that's quite a bit less interesting than a Burmese, but I want to have it. And so he arranged the deal and sent it to me. I got those things. Actually, the albino ball pythons were the first ball pythons I'd ever bred. And I don't think they were, that was in 89. And I don't think ball pythons were commonly bred in 89. And really they weren't imported that much. Not like they have been in the last couple of decades.
Interesting.
I have a quick question if I can hop in real quick. So when you first bred any of the albino stuff, did you know that was a recessive trait?
In the beginning, no, because all we had to go on was the albino corn snakes, and I didn't know. I mean, I thought, well, this could just be an animal that looks different, but I don't know if it can pass it on or not.
So the first year, you're like, you produce them, they all look kind of normal, and you're like,
Well, I expected that if it were a genetic trait, that it would be a recessive trait. So I got the hets, and I assumed and hoped and prayed that they were hets. And then I can tell you when that first clutch hatched, the first albino Burmese, I let her maternally incubate in those days. I hatched all my eggs maternally in those days. And a couple of days before they hatch, that way the females kind of loosen up on the eggs, and you can see them because, for 2 months you haven't been able to. And so I looked in there and I thought, well, there's a nose, a brown nose. I thought, well, that's not good. And I had 7 of those hatch, seven normal babies pipped before one albino pipped. And so I was sweating it a little bit. And I'll tell you something else. I'd only seen an adult, yellow and white. I was shocked that they were orange and white. I didn't know that. Nobody'd seen one before. So that was also interesting. So I thought, hey, do I have something different? Have I made something different than the parents? I didn't know.
That's always fun. That's the best thing about like the early days. You really don't know what to expect. So, there's always a surprise here and there.
Yeah.
And at one point or another, and we can edit this out if I'm wrong, you brought in, was it a black-eyed leucistic Burmese python at one point, but weren't successful breeding it?
Yes, and I have some indication after that fact that was a snake that was born normal and became white. A calico. It was a calico, and in those days, that happened several times. Not to the extent that the white snake I had, they were never as white as that, but there's some that were kind of ivory color and some that were kind of black speckled. But that one was a perfectly white, solid white, black-eyed snake. But whatever was going on with it, it was not genetic. I have reason to believe after the fact that's a snake that became white.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So let's see other ones. So this might be a sore subject, but when picking up stuff from other countries, sometimes we will get duped, I guess you could say. You picked up a reticulated python one time that essentially was dipped in Kool-Aid,
Yeah,
or might have been.
I was always looking, for something different, and I got a message, and I can't remember. This was quite a while ago. I believe I got a picture, a paper picture, not a JPEG, in the mail.
Okay.
And the guy said, "Are you interested in this orange snake?" And I said, "Well, absolutely, I am," because it was really orange. I mean, it was just, just a beautiful orange snake. And I sent him some money. I got the snake. It shed its skin, and it became a very normal-looking snake that had just shed an orange skin. So,
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
still to this day, that's happening. I mean, you probably followed the Red Ball Albino project recently, and for what I'm
Yeah.
hearing is that was one big hoax.
Yeah.
I'm being told it's one big hoax.
yeah,
That could
I
be
hear the
different. I
same.
know two people, but
Yeah.
but unfortunate.
Yeah. Well, these things
But
happen. There's some risks.
yeah, no, for sure. You got anything, Benjamin? You want to jump in, man? I don't want to completely control this like always.
No, so I don't want to derail too much, but I want to talk about the Pied Burmese. If we're still talking about Burmese, what was your journey with those? How did you get started into that?
Well, it was something that I had, like I said, I always had hoped that there would be, when there was only an albino corn snake, that there would be an albino Burmese. Well, once there was a pied anything, I wished that were in Burmese too, and then eventually I was able to do that, and I was lucky enough to get some hets ahead of time and make some. So,
and when was that?
Well, it was before the ban.
Yeah, I guess it would have to be. Yeah, that's cool. And I think that the pied Burmese are like one of the better looking pied animals out there.
Yeah,
just because of the way that it takes apart the pattern, and it's just a very cool animal.
Yeah, it's really interesting that we can see that there's an albino and apparently the same trait in many species. There are a lot of the traits that we see in a lot of species, like something that looks with the granite trait, or I think there's the spider. I think the spider ball python is a jaguar retic. I think the fire retic is a fireball python. It's so interesting to me that everything that we see, I would think eventually we're going to find something. We're going to find that trait in other species as well. Like
That's fun.
I got some Burmese ball python hybrids. I bred them together, and I got albinos. So that trait in ball pythons is that trait in Burmese pythons. It's the same gene in the same place. So it's nice. It's nice that we can have a pied everything.
That's awesome. I was wondering about. I wanted to talk about your Burm balls because you said that you have F2s, and in I think Freedom Breeders video I saw online, you have F2s. Like a lot of times when there's hybrids, people think they're not viable to reproduce.
Well, by definition, a hybrid is supposed to be sterile, but they are fertile. Now, I lose some eggs along the way during incubation, usually right at the end, and then some I lose after they're born. But once they get going, they're strong and good. So, and then I bred this time I bred a Burmese. I bred the Burmese ball python hybrid to a Burmese, and I just hatched out some 3/4 Burmese, 1/4 ball python.
That's interesting. And so how are you doing it? Which is the male and which is the female? That's a question that people ask.
I didn't make the F1. I didn't breed the original ball python to a Burmese, but the F1s I bred to make the second generation. But it was made with a ball python male and a Burmese python female.
Interesting. Yeah, I think it was Roos's years ago. I think he just started mixing ball python mutations into some of his blood python crosses for his hybridizations, and I want to say he did a bumblebee version early on, or years ago. I don't even know if anybody's really dabbling in that anymore, but I remember on his website he had some, what are they call those super balls, or what did they call the blood to the ball python?
Super Ball, he calls them.
His Super Bowl. Oh, yeah. I thought he made some bumblebees and maybe something else a few years ago, if I remember right. But again, you stumble across those every once in a while, and I think I'd seen them years ago at a Columbia, South Carolina show, and nobody wanted them. They were $100 a piece. Same guy brought them to the next show for like $800 a piece, and he sold out at the show.
Well, I guess if he didn't think they were valuable, nobody else did. So it kind of works that way.
Sometimes. So another really cool thing, with you being around for a long time, you've had an opportunity to do a lot of traveling in a lot of different countries, not only for herping, but for vending at many different shows around the world. Tell us about some of your favorite shows you've done around the world over the years.
Well, I can tell you for this year, I haven't been anywhere. I usually travel over 100,000 miles a year, and I haven't been 1 mile in the air this year. So I go to the big show in Ham, Germany. I do that 4 times a year. I do Snake Day in the Netherlands, and I do 2 shows in Japan in the winter and in the summer. Normally, in a normal year.
Okay, really nice. So out of the ones you do overseas, which one do you enjoy based on the scenery and everything else?
I hate to say it, but I don't think I enjoy them very much. It's work.
Wow.
It's work. I have to say, there's a lot of work getting ready to go. There's a lot of work when you get there, and then you got to get home and catch up. And then people say, "Hey, how was your vacation?" And I say, "I didn't have a vacation." So I think in most cases, when I go to Germany, I leave here on Thursday morning. I get there on Friday morning. I set up the show Friday afternoon. I do the show on Saturday. I break it down Saturday night, and I'm in the air again on Sunday morning. And by the time I get home, it's Sunday afternoon of the same week. So I don't take very much time for sightseeing. I don't like to be gone very long, and it's I don't know. It's kind of stressful and a lot of work. Now, when I go to Japan, it's a little different because I don't have the right visa to work in Japan, and I have a partner there, and I'm more of a prop in Japan. I stand and smile, and that's the extent of my responsibilities when I get there. So,
Okay.
and I don't speak Japanese, so I can't use my considerable sales talent there.
And do you send animals over to your partner there, or?
Yes.
Okay.
And he in Japan, and he does a show somewhere almost every month. So he's got a good inventory over there. So
real nice. So like a lot of other breeders, like you said, you're usually 100,000 miles a year, and you got nothing underneath you this year. How's your breeding year going this year? A little above average, not being away so much?
No, I think it's about the same. I think it's about the same. Yeah. I'm really, like I say, I'm never gone very long. I get over there and come right back. So I can't really say that's affected anything. So.
And how many species are you working with?
Oh, not that many species. I have a lot of retics, a lot of ball pythons. I've got some carpet pythons. I've got some blood pythons. I have some savus and some other odds and ends. I have a few boas. I have some rainbow boas. That's about the extent of it. I have a lot of turtles. I like turtles a lot.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I was going to say you have a couple pretty large tortoises.
I do. Yeah. I have some. All of them I've raised from babies. Also, I've got some Galapagos tortoises. There's an interesting story. The first 2 Albino Burmese Pythons I hatched in '86. I traded to Tom Crutchfield for two Galapagos tortoises that I still have.
Wow.
So, and one of them is pretty close to 500 pounds. He's a big boy.
Yeah,
So,
I had a chance to see them when I came to visit last time. Very impressive. And there was another tortoise I believe you had on your property that you've had for even longer than those.
oh, I've got a redfoot tortoise that in January in next January I will have had it for 50 years. I got
That's
it in
amazing.
January of '71. Yeah, and the thing was 6 inches long when I got it. So who knows how old it is? Could be as old as I am. I don't know.
Could be. No, that's awesome. Oh, go ahead.
And
Ben.
you have Aldabras, right? And
Yes.
how many of those do you have?
I have three. I have a male and two females. My female I got as a baby in '81, and she weighs. I weighed him when I took him outside in the spring. She weighs 216 pounds, and she has had over the course of her life over 150 babies.
That's just amazing.
It is really. Now that was in most of that was all of that was in cooperation with the Tulsa Zoo.
That's great.
So
It's always cool to hear when people are breeding tortoises, especially ones like that. I know Ty Park has what he has, and I think it's Aldabras that he has, but he hasn't introduced a male to him yet, and he's trying to find one, but find a male at that kind of age, because I think they have to be about 50, 60 years before a male hits sexual maturity or shows interest.
well, my male, when I brought my female back from the Tulsa Zoo, in the meantime I raised a male from a baby also, and that thing weighs 240 pounds, and he is breeding all the time. So he's pretty enthusiastic about that. So hopefully I'll make some eggs this season. I hope so.
Nice.
And when did he start breeding? So he's like 38 now.
Yeah. Well, he didn't have an opportunity.
Maybe more.
He didn't have an opportunity because the female was in the Tulsa Zoo for 20 years. So she came home last season, and he thought, this is great. I haven't seen you for a long time, and they started breeding almost immediately.
Very cool.
That's so cool.
And then my male Galapagos tortoise, most of those came from the same facility in Florida. All the ones that were born in captivity during that time. Well, sex determination in tortoises is temperature regulated, and they hatch their Galap eggs. Hey, you got some Galap eggs and they hatch. You think, well, I'm going to do it just like that the next year, and they did, and all of those, almost every single one of them, is a female. But strangely, one of the two that I got from Tom Crutchfield was a male. So I've got him on breeding along with Jerry Fife in Arizona. And he's breeding all the time. We're getting lots of eggs, but and Jerry's hatched quite a few, but not from my male. So
Okay. So fertilization issues possibly with him?
well, I think it's a mechanical issue. I'm not sure. I think he's motivated for sure, but I think he may have to learn a little bit, some style or something. He's not quite making the connection.
I have the perfect job for Dave. He could be a coach in this. He's like the man when it comes to style.
Yeah, but I never close, so I'm not the right guy for the job, buddy.
Well,
But you just have to play one on TV, right? I mean, that's what.
Yes, that's it. Oh,
Well.
let's see. So yeah, just kind of going around. So this is one thing that we usually start the episode with, but we kind of skipped it. And this is gonna be an episode we've seen jump all around. So what was that animal in your childhood that kind of got you into reptiles?
I think it must for sure be a box turtle. My grandfather brought me a box turtle, and I know I was less than 5 from my recollection, because I remember what house we were living in then, and I couldn't get enough, and I'm still the same. I can't get enough turtles. I've got a real problem there. I like turtles a lot, and so I would have to say it had to be that turtle my grandfather brought me. And people say, well, how did you get interested? How did this start? How did you get this way? And I didn't get this way. I just was this way. And as far back as I can remember, I've had this interest, and it's always been the same. And I think back about the old days, and you know what, we had a lot of animal restrictions at my house. My parents were not into this very much, and so I couldn't have a snake for sure. I might be able to have a turtle, but I had to keep it outside. And there were a lot of rules. But by the way, my mother remembers none of this now. She remembers herself as being very supportive and and encouraging all along the way. Yeah, I have a different recollection, but anyway, it's all good now. So,
Real nice.
yeah, but I could if some things I could keep if I could catch. Definitely not a snake, but it didn't keep me from catching snakes. I couldn't keep them, but it didn't keep me from catching them. And I can remember, I remember my neighbor across the street had a flagstone sidewalk, and he was pulling up those flagstones one day, and he found a snake under one of them. So he called me over there, and he coaxed it into an empty mayonnaise jar for me, and I took it home, and I was only like 6, and I had this snake in a jar, a little snake, and my recollection isn't good enough that I can remember what kind of snake it was. I can't. I don't know what it was. But anyway, it was about a foot long, and I had it in the mayonnaise jar. I looked at that thing. I couldn't put it down until pretty soon that wasn't good enough, and I had to get it out. Well, I opened the mayonnaise jar, and I shook him out onto the lawn, and I watched him get away from me because I was afraid to catch it. I was afraid to touch it. Off he went, and that was my first snake.
Nice. So have you always been in Oklahoma, or was that
Nope.
where'd you grow up? Always Oklahoma?
And in the Kansas City area, on the Kansas side. I'm from Leawood, Kansas, Johnson County, Kansas, northeast Kansas.
Good area for herping.
Oh yeah, it's a great place. Yeah, I got to catch a lot of good things there, and yeah, I lived there until I was 24. Then I moved to Oklahoma, and I've been here since.
Okay.
Do you have any good herping stories from back then, or any around lately even that you go out? Do you still go out now, or?
Yeah, I do, and
seems like you're pretty busy.
I am, but I do go out, and I was just telling a friend of mine the other day, I caught a garter snake, and of course he musked all over me, and it smelled terrible, and I just the smell of that, it just takes me back to 10 years old. And I thought, I can't quite get enough of that. It just brought something back that was good, and I missed. So, yeah. So,
that's so. My follow-up question is: you ever go herping in Jersey? It's something I ask everybody.
Do I? No.
Does anybody? We're from Jersey, Ryan and I always ask because we go herping from time to time here. It's a good time. We don't always find stuff, but once in a while.
Yeah. Well, I don't always find stuff either, but I enjoy getting out and hopping over a fence and turning over rocks. So.
Very good.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
Again, we're going to go back and forth like always. So kind of jumping back to mutations, we talked about the 3 mutations in the albinos. Are there any other mutations that you were the first one to import into the country?
I got the striped ball python, the striped retic. I got the labyrinth Burmese. I got granite Burmese. When when I say I got, I mean I bred them first, and I imported most of them. I got Sunfire Retic. I got Pied Retic. I got Blonde Retic. Oh boy, I think there are more, but I can't think of them.
Okay,
I mean,
that's a pretty long list.
Yeah, it's still. I mean, 8 is more than most anybody can say in the world, really.
Well, I really got focused on it. That Albino Burmese thing worked really well, and I thought I want to do that some more.
Yeah,
I bet. So, what about the? You want to talk us about the albino motley pied that you just produced?
Okay. Are you? Are you? Maybe you mean this albino super motley pied?
Oh, maybe that's it. I thought that maybe I didn't read it right.
Is it like a white on white wonderful thing? Yeah.
Yes, definitely. Smaller eyes.
Oh no, that is a phantom pied.
Oh, now, I'm sorry. Yeah, you had the two. I saw the two. All right, sorry.
Yeah, the albino super motley pied is incredible, but and normal in every way except it's got an unbelievable color and pattern. Now, the phantom pied, that is a solid white snake with red eyes that are a little on the small side. So it's, you don't always know what you're going to get. I mean, they're nice snakes, but they're not quite right. So I like, you can try to get the right thing and hope you get something that's really good, but not always. It doesn't always work. So.
Understandable. Now, the super form of that, is that similar to like what you get in ball pythons with the super cinnamon albino, where there's a little head or the head's a little deformed, they're just a little off?
Yeah, probably. It's the head looks right on these things, but the snake it's just got those small eyes. Now, I'm sorry, I'm putting my phone on the charger here, and there we go. Okay. But it is sort of like the, every once in a while you get a blue eye leucistic that has small red eyes. And I don't know why. There's no albino in it. But you get that sometimes. I don't know if you do, but sometimes. I don't know. You want something good? Sometimes you get it. Most of the time you get it. So.
Yeah, they're real cool looking, though.
Yeah.
I mean,
for sure.
Beautiful animals.
Oh, I like it. So it's pretty good.
And to follow that up, and I keep on jumping on Dave, but so what's your favorite? What's your favorite retic or berm that you produced this year? And then we can talk ball pythons maybe.
This year. Let's see. I didn't make any Pied Burmese this year, but I did make some hets. That's good. Some hets with granite, with albino, and with possible het blonde. Let's see. What else do I have?
Well, maybe even something you're expecting, because it is early in the season still.
Yeah, I have. I just hatched yesterday some nice albino pied retics. I'm sure I'll think of something. I think those hybrids are pretty cool. I got for this year I got super golden child pied, which is very nice. Retic. They're black and white, just like you want them to be. They're nice and black and really white. So that was a good highlight for this season.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'll probably think of some more stuff when we get off the phone. But
that's all right. And how many retics and Burms. How many snakes are you working with that get over 12 feet long? Do you think you have in your facility right now?
Oh, I don't know. I got a lot. How long would it be if I put them all end to end? I think
No.
to the moon and halfway back. I think.
Well, just to give people an idea of how many animals you're really working with, do you have a ballpark of how many snakes you have?
I don't, because for one reason, I always think, hey, mine are big, so you can't compare a number of mine to a number of somebody else's. And the other thing is, I have, I guess like everybody, that number varies seasonally quite a bit. I mean, huge swing when babies are born, and then they're sold, and then at some point they're gone. So. I think the population here does, it changes seasonally quite a bit. But, I mean, do I have a lot of 20-foot snakes? I'm sure I do. Maybe 20. So
20 is a lot.
Yeah.
In my mind.
Yeah. And some are quite a bit bigger than that. So.
Yeah, no, I remember when we got to take a walk through your place. Your retics were the biggest retics I've ever seen in my entire life. A couple of them,
Yeah.
absolutely amazing, like just immaculate.
Yeah, I like retics a lot. They got to be my favorite.
So similar to some of the other, we kind of skipped it, but the pied retic, kind of talking pieds again. That was something that you brought in also, right?
Yes. Yes.
All right. Anything interesting with that backstory, or just got the right call on the right day?
Well, the original animal was the lowest of low white pieds I've ever seen. He had no crossovers. He had a little bit of white coming up the side in a couple places, but nowhere near even halfway up. And I think I was being extremely generous to refer to that animal ever as a pied. He just was not. And looking back, in fact, the animal, I just lost that animal this year. But looking at him, I thought, really, why would I even call that a pied? But I do remember when the first one hatched. Though, I had a nice clutch of eggs. And I'm not somebody that likes to cut their eggs early. I like to let the snakes let themselves out, and in retic people that's rare lately. But I thought, well, I'm not cutting any eggs, and you can imagine how impatient I must have been. I thought I don't care what, I'm not going to cut them early. And maybe it's because I was afraid. I was afraid I might not get something good. I guess I don't know, but I didn't do it. But about 3 days before I expected them to hatch, I was at work early at 6 a.m. I get up early, and I just happened to look in there, and I saw a nose sticking out. I didn't see a nose. I just saw that one of the eggs was cut. So I got the box down. I set it on my lap, and I got a little X-Acto knife that I keep for this purpose, and I just trimmed it open a little bit, and I almost started crying. I just thought, this thing looks as good. It looks as good as I could want it to look. It was about half and half white with big spots evenly spaced down it. I've got a picture of that somewhere, and it just an unbelievable, incredible animal. I thought, this thing is a pied. This is what I'm shooting for. Boy, I didn't even. It was so early in the morning, I didn't even call home to tell anybody. But it was great. I could not believe it.
Yeah,
I
know.
Look just like I wanted to look.
It's really awesome. Benjamin was talking about just how amazing the Albino Burm is, but the Albino Retic, in my opinion, is definitely one of my favorite pieds I'm sorry, I might have said albino a few times, but I meant to say pied. Because you seem to get not a high percentage, but you get a lot with that solid white head, which is unlike anything else in any other species when it comes to pied.
Yeah, it is different. That head can be white, and so there's really a lot of variation in albino retics. Pattern, coverage, color. Some of them get that beautiful blue gray when they get older. I mean, they're kind of blue and white. They're just great animals. I love that. Well, let's do talk about albinos. The albino retic. I got that animal from Anson Wong in Malaysia in '94, and it was lavender or purple albino. And hey, I expected the babies to come out and look like that. Well, they didn't. The first one came out was white and orange, and then in the next clutch, I got one that was purple and orange, and I thought neither of these guys look like the original animal. But we didn't know what to expect. And I didn't understand the genetics of it for a long time, and one reason is because when I got an albino, I sold it, and my animals were coming from breeding the original male and het females, so I couldn't tell if they were white, if they were albinos, whether they're in white or purple. I didn't know because they were hets. They're not visual. So it took a little while to put that all together and figure out, well, how do you get a purple, white, and a lavender? Well, fortunately, the original albino was a lavender animal. He had the ability to make white and lavender babies and purple babies. So anyway, that was great because, well, I had 3 things to sell.
So that's where all the original lavender albinos came from. That
came from that one animal.
Wow, very interesting.
And then at some point, Brian Sharp imported another animal from I don't know where it came from, but it was white. It was a white albino, but I mean, in those days, we didn't know that they were compatible. All we knew was, hey, Brian's don't make any purples. They're only white. And at that time, I thought, well, it's a different trait. It's a whole different deal. But it wasn't. It was part of the complex. We didn't understand that in those days. We didn't know it. So
interesting. Well, like you said back then, nobody really wrote the book on it. You guys just kind of figured it out as you went along.
Yeah.
So let's see. Go ahead, Ben.
Well, I want to stick with the whole jumping around stuff, so because there is a big topic that I do want to talk about in a little bit with ball pythons, but I don't think we're there yet. So you have a YouTube channel. There's not a lot on there, and I'm gonna talk it up a tiny bit, but the little videos you have on there are pretty interesting. 2 videos in particular. One of them being you had a rat in your hand, and an owl came and took it out of your hand. And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And then I read and it said a wild barred owl. Is that like on your property or is that?
Yeah, it's my house backs up to a creek. And along the creek, there's a lot of trees, and there is a pair of nesting barred owls. And one day I was heading out to my backyard with a live rat in my hand. I'm a falconer also, and I was going down to feed my own hawk, and so I had a live rat in my hand, and there was an owl sitting in the tree, and I thought, well, I wonder what would happen if I threw this rat out in the yard. Would that owl come get it? So I threw the rat over the other side of the yard, and he bobbed his head a little bit and thought about it. He looked at me, looked at the rat, he looked back at me, looked at the rat. Then he swooped down, he got the rat and flew away with it. Well, the next day, I came out to feed my hawk, and there he is again. And he's saying, "Hey, there's that guy." And I had a rat. I threw it. He thought about it a little while, and he got it. And over the next days, I got him closer and closer and closer to me, so that he was I'm standing on my deck, and he's almost at my feet. But we ran into a little snag. He didn't quite want to grab it from my feet with me towering above him. But my goal all along was to say, if I went inside and got my glove, my falcon glove, and put that rat in my hand, would he come grab it from my hand? And as soon as I stuck my hand in the air with that rat on the top, he came right by and grabbed it. I was really surprised, but he was a lot more comfortable doing that than he was picking it up off the ground at my feet. So, that whole period took about 2 weeks. I think I probably could have shortened it down to about a week if I had progressed a little faster to my glove. But I got to the point where I could go out in my backyard. I could clap my hands, and an owl would appear on the other side of the creek. I put my glove up in the air, and here he came every time. I mean, to the point where I could say, "Hey, you want to go over to my house and see something cool?" And I just live around the corner from where I work. And anytime I wanted it, I clap my hands. Here comes an owl. Now, last year and this year, he doesn't want to do that, and I don't know why. I see the owls there; they are there. Maybe that particular individual has died and been replaced with another owl. I don't know, but at least my buddy, he doesn't love me anymore, or he's not there anymore. I don't know, but the owls are there, and I see them. They hoot all night, and I don't know where they nest. It's close, but I haven't been able to find it. So
I'm sure they're just taking this social distancing thing way too serious right now, buddy.
That could very well be it. I think that's probably likely. So anyway, I wish he'd come back. I wish I liked doing that. And but he would take 4 rats a day if I wanted him to. But you got little babies in the nest and they're hungry all the time. He's probably stockpiling the food, and he'd fly away with them. But
that's amazing. That story blows me away.
I'll tell you, that same bird.
So cool.
That same bird. A friend of mine said, "Hey, I like to photograph birds, and hey, maybe I could come over to your house and get some pictures of a wild bird, that's not really afraid of me. I could get that." And so he's on my deck with his long lens, and he sees the bird, and he sees it fly down into the creek. He flies back up with a turtle. He caught a little baby red-eared slider, and in my creek, and then he ate it. So I'm not sure that's really been recorded before, but anyway, it happened.
Wow. That's crazy.
I did not know they ate turtles.
So bad. Well, I think I saw a picture. Well, not that I should have not known this, but I caught them out eating a soft-shell turtle the other day, which made me really sad. Because like you, I got this real soft spot for turtles. I've always been a little obsessed, just never had too many of them over the years. Slowly buying one here, one there as I go. But yeah, seeing anything eat a turtle always makes me sad.
Well, one time I was coming home for lunch, and I pulled down the street and into my driveway, and I saw a mallard duck in my front yard with a whole bunch of newly hatched babies following her. And I can hear this one peeping. Well, I guess they've come out of the street for some reason, and one of them can't get up the curb. And he's trying, and mom's peeping, and he's making noise, and mom's calling, and anyway, it's not happening. So I get out of the car. I got my phone. I'm going to film it all, and I've got my camera and my phone in one hand, and I got trying to get underneath this duck so I can help him over the curb, and so I get him up, and boy, he gets out on the lawn, and he's really leaning into it. He's got his beak way out in front of him and his feet behind, and he's just going as fast as he can to catch up with mom. And then over my shoulder comes Cooper's hawk, grabs that thing, and flies off between the houses with it. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Wow.
So you say you had a soft spot for turtles. I'm just saying my duck story. I thought, hey, I'm just glad I got to see that.
Yeah, right. Hey,
that's the squeaky wheel gets the hawk, I guess.
I'm sure the hawk was on the scene long before I came for lunch. He was thinking, I'm going to get one of those things, and then I got in the middle of his whole scenario there. But anyway,
that's so cool.
Any rare sight of nature, anytime you get to see anything in the wild actually eating on their own, unprovoked on anything, always really cool. Whenever I stumble across a snake eating something in the wild, I always sit there and take it all in. I always find that very interesting.
Yeah, I like all that too, and I've got an armadillo that has moved into my backyard, and I thought, no, that's cool, and that's until he started digging up my ajuga every night. But anyway, I still got him.
That's cool. Yeah, I enjoy that. I enjoy seeing animals that people are like, oh man, this is such a weird thing. Like there's in the next town over, they have eagles that nest by this little lake, and they put a camera up near the nest so that the township, everybody can log on and watch the eagles, and they every once in a while people like freak out because they pick up, what's around your town, stray cats. So when
Oh,
you
yeah.
see an eagle eating a stray cat, people like freak out. It's like, oh,
Yep.
that happens.
Just an eagle being an eagle.
Yep.
Plus, I mean, shit, how many animals did that cat eat before that eagle came along? So, you know, and I'm a cat
Well,
person, but that is the reality of things.
I'm saying it's an eagle being a good eagle. So.
Really cool. And yeah, so you have a lot of hobbies too. You seem to be anything nature, anything. You have your falconry, you do your breeding, fossils, rock collecting also.
Yeah, I'm a collector of things. I like a lot. I have a lot of interest, and I think if I didn't have to work all day, I would have a lot more. But if I retire, I'm sure I'm going to be busy all the time. So
That's a good thing. Who really wants to slow down, especially when you get to do something you like?
I hear you. I like my job. I'm happy to come to work every day. I wake up in the morning every day, anxious to get to work. So
really good. Yeah.
Actually, I sit up bolt upright in my bed with my eyes wide open, like, I better get to work. Something bad's gonna happen. That's really how I wake up.
Oh, whatever works, man. I'm a glass of water in the morning. No caffeine. I'm just like you said, always exciting to get out into the building.
Yeah.
So in your office, I remember, well, the first thing in your office that I really loved was your dog. I'm sure you're still bringing him to work all the time.
Let's see. Can you see a dog back there somewhere?
Yeah, he looks really small from that angle, but that dog is as big as Bob. Like, it is a monster of a dog.
His name's Steve.
Yeah. Is that? Oh, wait a minute. Is that wait?
Yeah, we're getting the ass end. There you go.
No, that's his head. I just can't.
So
there he is.
There you go. Awesome.
That's definitely the dog in Sandlot that ate the little kid's ball for sure.
Yeah, he's a big boy.
Yep. And two-headed turtle, if I remember right.
Yeah.
So they got a little two-headed.
I don't know.
And while you're showing that off,
can we see that?
Let's see. Let's see. Oh boy, I tell you what, it's just hard to get the angle right.
Let me pick him up. See if I can do. There he is.
Oh yeah.
I'm doing a terrible job of this, but
no, it's difficult. We all suffer from this. I've done the same.
There he is.
Yeah, it's difficult because it's like you're doing it in a mirror. It's always backwards.
Yeah.
So that looks real cool, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, he looks awesome. Looks healthy.
Yeah, he's good. I've had him almost 20 years.
So crazy.
Wow.
Got a lot. Yeah, lots of little. Well, now I can't even see you. Okay.
Welcome back, Bob. We'll edit that whole middle part out. No one will even know what happened.
Okay, good.
So, again, talking about things I had happened to notice when I visited. You also had a picture on the wall where I couldn't tell what country you were in, but I'm assuming it was a herping trip. You had a group photo with a tribe.
Oh yeah, I was in Papua New Guinea.
Really cool. You want to tell us a little bit about that? Any cool herps you found along the way? Anything interesting? Maybe what you were eating? Did you eat a snail? Maybe a maggot?
No, I didn't. But I am kind of an adventurous eater, so I want to eat what I'll try things. Now we went to look for Bolin's pythons. I guess it was about 1990.
Okay.
Wow, really cool.
And did you find any?
Oh yeah, we sure did.
Cool. Well,
Okay,
for somebody who found a bones in the wild, man, you're really not giving off an exciting vibe right now. Like, I found a bones in the wild. You're losing it.
I'm sorry. Yeah, it was a friend of mine in the Netherlands said, let's go there and see if we can find one of these things. So it was before there was email and internet, and so we had a few phone calls and we were writing letters back and forth. I said, well, I will meet you in this place in the mountains of Papua New Guinea. And I missed my flight, and he was waiting for the mail plane to bring me to this remote village. I showed up a day later, and he'd already caught two of them. So But yeah, that was an adventure. That was a real adventure. And then another time I went to I've got a friend in Sydney, Australia, and he said, "Hey Bob, we're about that age. If some things are going to get done, we better get after them." And I said, "Well, okay, what do you got in mind?" He said, "Well, let's go to up to northern Australia and see if we can find rough scale pythons. They had recently been described, and we knew the area where they had caught them. So we packed food for a week. We flew to Sydney, and then up to Darwin, and then out to Kununurra, and then we got on a plane. I mean, no, we got on a little plane, then we got on a helicopter, and had him drop us along the Mitchell River just below the Mitchell Falls, and said, "Come back and get us in a week. Don't forget." And so he dropped us off there, and every day we'd get up and look for pythons, and we never found any, but we sure had a good time. We saw a lot of stuff.
Wow, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I took my son with me, and he was about 15, I think, maybe less, but his mom said, "Well, okay." So we did it.
Really cool. How about retics in the wild? Have you had that opportunity yet?
I have not. I've never seen a wild retic ever. No, I've never caught strange for as much as my life is has to do with Burmese balls and retics. I've never caught a wild one anywhere.
Huh.
I've never seen one in the wild. I don't know about that. So
you still got time, Bob.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, not to bring up Barczyk, but that's one of my favorite Barczyk stories. Is he talks about seeing a retic in the wild and flying to this remote town and then taking a crazy vehicle up to this little village and then thinking he's gonna die and all this stuff, and then going into this cave and just up to his waist in bat guana and seeing him, and it's a pretty cool story.
Oh, I would love to find that. So,
yeah.
No, fortunate enough, so I don't leave the country, just because I don't. But finally, this upcoming January, I'm going to do Guyana. Some fishing buddies of mine took the trip a couple years ago, but it's oh man, fly to wherever you fly to, then you jump on a little airplane that takes you to the middle of nowhere, and then you get on a boat and you just cruise for hours. But I think the place we're staying, the closest tribe to us will be about 90 miles away. We'll be focusing on catching aeropalma, peacock bass, pacu, a few different variations of catfish, a couple kinds of piranha. It's gonna be like 12 to 15 days of fishing, but I was trying to get a reptile buddy to go as I was going, because there's a lot of green anacondas in the area where we're going to be, bushmasters, rainbow boas, God knows what else. But guys I go hanging out with are fishing guys, so it's going to be tough to talk them into wrangling anything with me right now, but we'll see.
But I've thought this before, that it might be, I see fishing trips offered to different places, and I thought, well, if you could just get there and somebody's planned it and organized the details to get you there, you'll do fine when you get there, I think, right?
Oh yeah, they did wonderful last year. I'll send you some pictures. They killed it with fishing. I mean,
with your particular interests, you should still, I think you'd drop you somewhere and you're going to find some good stuff.
Yeah, but I'm also scared shitless and a little bit of a pussy, Bob, so I'm going to need someone doing this with me.
Yeah, okay, well.
Sorry, I watch a lot of movies. My head goes places. The dark scares me. I mean, I'll at least see a green anaconda, and I will try to venture in the woods a little bit. But a lot of spiders out there. I'm not really a spider guy.
Yeah, I'm not either. I gotta say, I don't really like spiders either.
Yeah, just not having it. But go ahead, man. I think we're talking ball pythons now. Ben's been holding it in. What do you got, bud?
No. I had one other interesting story that I talked with Bob before we started. On his YouTube channel, he had a video of him calling turtles, and I said, "Wow, you're there, you feed your turtles, and they all come." He goes, "That wasn't my little pond." So, where was that at, Bob? And when I say he called like like 30 turtles came.
Oh, and they came right out of the water.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was in Hilton Head Island, South Carolina.
Yeah.
And he just leans down and is like, come on, guys, come on. And they just slowly come, like a whole bunch of them. It's like crazy.
And you look down the channel, and they were just coming. They're coming down. They're coming from yards and yards away, 100 yards away. I don't know. They can see it. Yeah, I think this has happened before with these things. I think somebody had been feeding them. Now I didn't let on during my video.
Yeah, I think I was actually at one of my trips down to Oklahoma. I think for a show I was doing, we stopped at just a roadside place, and they had a little pond next to the building. You just walked over there, and from all directions, see all these turtles start making their way to the shoreline. They didn't get out of the water, but I'm sure they're getting fed quite a bit over there.
Yeah. I think it happens. So
it makes for a good video.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure.
I'm like, wow. I mean, calling wild turtles, just Bob's really got it going on. But yeah, we could talk ball python. So the one thing that it's one of those hot topics lately is the scaleless ball python. I know you work a lot and you're heavy in the scaleless project, so you want to talk about the myths and maybe your first experiences with scaleless and what your future plans are, maybe?
I'm not sure. I just decided, with ball pythons, I can't do everything. I will focus on scaleless. So I don't treat them any differently than any other ball pythons. I just keep them on aspen and feed them like I just take care of them like any other ball pythons. As far as I think sometimes they have some shedding problems. Not that the skin doesn't want to come off, but sometimes it'll roll up instead of coming off like a sock. And if it does roll up, it kind of makes it can constrict a little bit. So I'm always looking to make sure one of them's not being squeezed by his own shed. But other than that, they seem to do great for me.
Have you bred any adult full scaleless?
No, I haven't. I don't have any females that are big enough. I had a male scaleless clown hat that I tried to breed this year, but he was only 6 months old, and I just didn't get him. Yeah, I just didn't get him going. So maybe if he'd been a little bigger or been a little older, I might have been able to do it. So, but I haven't done that. So,
and you do have a plan to do that, though.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm guessing
for sure. So I'm raising some girls, and so hopefully we'll have some of that. I guess. Has anybody done it? I don't know. Has anybody bred?
There's one breeder in the industry that was, as far as I'm aware, successful with the female scaleless to get eggs. And when it comes to males, that first pastel that Winston produced, there was tons of breeding action with that guy. Miguel just posted a picture of his breeder male having at it with a few females. So breeding does not seem to be an issue. Our scaleless male here breeds just fine, and we got a couple of them.
Okay, well, I think people are always looking for a problem, but I don't think there's any reason to think they'd be different than anything else. I mean, none of the other scaleless animals are.
Yeah, and that's what I've been telling people, because we're producing our first clutch of, hopefully hitting a scaleless this year. And I think people are like, oh no, and they have all these worries and fears and stuff like that. And I'm like, I still think it's a really cool project, but with anything, I think that there's a little bit of a learning curve that maybe you just have to have a slight difference in how you watch them when they shed, or, maybe you keep them on something slightly different, things like that, to make it good for the masses, that it'll eventually, people will figure it out on a large scale and be able to be very successful with them.
Yeah, I don't think there's any reason to think there'll be a problem. So,
no, like you said, people do like to nitpick. I think in ball pythons, outside of caramels and caramels in the desert project, I don't think there's been any other females that haven't been viable or haven't laid good eggs, as far as I'm aware, with mutations.
Right, and there's really no reason to think that that there should be either. So, But it's
Yeah.
the same. It's the same in Retics. You know, if you breed two fire platinum or whatever you want to call them, I want to call them fire. But you breed those together. When you get the solid white ones with black eyes, they might get up to a few feet long, but then they have a problem. And I'm telling you, everybody that there's a lot of different ways to make a white retic, but everybody thinks, oh, they're a problem. Well, they're not a problem. It's just that one that's a problem. You can make a super motley. It can be albino, perfectly white and good. A super phantom is a wonderful white, perfect snake. There's no reason to think it's a problem. And yet people are looking for a reason to think, oh, don't do that. That's going to be trouble.
Yeah. The Facebook is a little dangerous sometimes. Information, it's nice that it can go as fast as it does, but you plant that rumor out there that there could be an issue, and suddenly it is the biggest topic in the industry, whether it is an issue or not.
Yeah.
So it makes it kind of tough.
Yeah, and so what scaleless stuff are you working on? I know you have a scaleless pied, I think you're looking at.
Pied and clown right now. And I've got some, pastel and inchy, and but I haven't made the pastel. I mean the clown and pied yet, but and I missed my opportunity. Both. Well, I still have one more chance this year, but I missed it last year, and I haven't got it yet this year either. But I did see somebody had one though, and it's very nice. The color was great.
Really cool. What is it? So what happened with and you might not have any idea, but that Scaleless Reticulated Python surfaced 6 months to a year ago, and I don't think I've heard anything about it since.
Yeah, as far as I know, it's still in the Philippines, but I'd love to have it, but it's in the Philippines. I don't even know if it still exists even.
Yeah, that's the thing. Maybe there was a buyer that picked it up in Europe or somewhere, and they're just not talking about it. But yeah, we saw that first picture. That first picture was everywhere, and I don't think I ever saw a second picture after that.
Well, I was in contact with the guy, but he just couldn't be convinced to sell it. I mean, I've got a place to keep animals in Europe too. I thought, well, it's no reason I shouldn't have it, but I couldn't do it. I couldn't make it happen.
Unfortunate, honestly.
Yeah.
Ooh. So go ahead, Ben. Let's talk ball pythons. Was that your ball python topic, Scaleless?
Well, yeah, that was one of them. I know that Bob was really into the scaleless, and I wanted to hear more about it. I know it's been talked about a lot lately, so I thought it'd be cool to talk about. What other ball python stuff do you enjoy working with? You said you focus on just a few things.
Yeah, and really that's it. That's pretty much it. Some pied stuff, but I like I said, I can't do everything. So
yeah,
I just decided I would do that.
What do you think about a scaleless berm ball? Do you think we could ever work our way to having that hybrid and go scaleless?
I think I guess, but it's difficult. It's difficult anyway. I mean, it's hard to get hybrids to breed. It's hard to get the eggs hatched. It's hard to raise the babies. Everything's hard about it. So I think you add that scaleless into it, and I'm not saying it's not possible, but I think it's going to be difficult for sure.
For sure.
Yeah. What about bat eaters? Have you ever made?
No, I've had some, and I've bred the F1s, but again, same story. It resulted in a lot of infertile eggs, a lot of disappointment, and I just thought, I'm going to let somebody else do that because it's just wasteful to keep trying to make that F1.
Are they really as I guess bitey? I hear that they're pretty aggressive.
I've only had two, and mine were not. So I mean, my sample size is pretty small, but I didn't have any trouble with them. But every time I tried to make a hybrid, I got infertile eggs, and I just thought, I'm just throwing money away.
Yeah, can understand that.
So talking pied some more, you do a little bit with the Brazilian rainbow boas. Have you taken the chance on the pied project yet, or invested in that?
No, Rolf's a friend of mine, and I've been paying attention to it, but no, it's not something I've gotten into.
Yeah, definitely another unique animal. He's been working on that for years too. Like I know people really started talking about it, but he's had that for 7 to 10 years, I want to say.
I think probably so.
Yeah,
You
because
know,
I think it's
Rolf Mickelson was my first export customer. The first export I ever made was to him back in the 80s. So,
really cool.
yeah. I got a message that said my phone is too hot and needs to cool down, and it cooled down.
Oh.
But I was charging it while we were talking, and anyway, so I got that message. Now I'm cool, I guess. But I am low on battery. How long do you want to go?
As
We're
long as
gonna
you
go just a few more minutes, or until you pretty much die on us. How about that?
Your phone dies, not you.
Yeah,
Okay.
of course. Then.
Okay.
No one's rooting for that.
Okay.
But
Well,
so talking the early days, because again, you have been in this for ever, essentially. Well, how about did you do like the early Daytona days? Is there what's your favorite show in the United States to go to?
I
shit.
like to do that NARBC. I'm here. I'm back. I like that NARBC in Arlington. That's a good one for me, and really, it's one of the few domestic shows that I do. Yeah, but it's at the first show the first big show in Orlando, and gosh, when was that? 90? Was that 94?
I think, was it his 30th year anniversary this past year, or was it his 25th? I can't remember.
I think it must be 25.
Okay. That'd be right.
Yeah.
So then 94 sounds right to me. Ben's
Yeah.
the math guy, so Ben's got to get the confirmation on that.
That is true. That is what that would equal. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
25 years. That's cool. So you were there, and Arlington's your favorite show domestically?
Yeah, I think so. Because it's close. My kids live down there, and my daughters live in Dallas, so I like that. So.
And what do you think about the show world today? Do you think you're going to go to a lot of shows? You're not?
I don't really like to do shows very much. Now I do like to make money, so there's a balance there, and sometimes that gets me to a show, and sometimes not. So yeah, I don't know. I do the overseas shows a lot, and that's most of them. And by the time I get back, I don't really feel like doing another show. So.
Gotcha. So when you first started, and you don't seem like the rock star partier type guy, but there's a lot of rock star lifestyles being sold back when this all started, and we always hear all these crazy stories. Were you ever part of that scene, or did you just happen to, kind of look and say, man, I don't want anything to do with that?
Well, I guess I was there at the same time, but I was not. No, I guess that's not my style.
Oh, nothing wrong with that. Arlington, being a food guy, you ever go to Cooper's Barbecue outside of Arlington?
Yeah, I have. I sure have.
Yeah, that is definitely my go-to. The beef rib there is my favorite beef rib I've ever had anywhere. Love that place.
I like barbecue. I mean, that's for sure. I like barbecue. That's good stuff.
Oh yeah.
What's your favorite kind of barbecue? So I don't like barbecue sauce. If we're gonna talk food, I could jump into this.
Yeah,
I like barbecue sauce, but I'm a North Carolina barbecue guy, so it's like the vinegar and ketchup base.
Yeah, well, I like a spicy sauce. I don't like it too sweet. I don't like a sweet sauce. I want it to be spicy.
Yep.
I want it to really make me sweat.
Oh. I used to say that all the time, and then I visited some friends in South Africa, and I ordered off of one of the menus, and they're like, you have to have the mild, and I'm like, look at me, are you kidding me? And and then I was like eating the mild and crying. Yeah, I can handle spicy food, but man, there's times.
Well, that's what I like.
Gotcha. So
All right. Oh, go ahead, bud.
I wanted to just hear some, if you have any crazy stories about importation or anything fun. Nothing, not that anything, but I've heard like stuff would end up showing up in the mail or something weird, and you'd be like, "What is this?" Or what? You ever have any?
I never had anything like that, but I can tell you the exporting deal is always a problem. Fish and Wildlife is slow to make permits. They interfere and obstruct with at every opportunity they can. It's just a hassle.
What was you probably have a few stories where you had something expensive coming in and you ran into an issue like that where Fish and Wildlife are trying to give you a hard time and you're like sweating that.
Well, I remember the first time that I was trying to do the ham show in Germany. I got all my stuff there. I shipped through Chicago, which you should never do. Never, ever, ever do that. And they held up my shipment and they they let it out, but it got there after the show was over. I thought, what? You know, it didn't have to be that way. It just they can be very difficult. I don't really have anything good to say about those people.
So that was your first time experience, not having the animals show up?
Yeah, I went to the show. I didn't have any animals.
Jeez.
Yeah, so that was no good.
So, on another note, or kind of jumping around, have you been following everything going on with USARK and the Lacey Act and how it's all possibly going to get kicked up again?
Yeah, I think it's something that we're always going to have to fight. You know, the forces of evil are always going to try to regulate us, to hurt us, to make sure we can't do the thing it is that we do, and it's always going to be that way.
Yeah, no, it's kind of terrifying right now because we're all cooped up. We're not doing our auctions. We're not having any group discussions. A lot of people don't have any idea what's going on right now, and until someone really starts talking or something really happens, like they can sneak in and do whatever they want right now with us all trapped in our houses, essentially.
Well, I think any of these big bills that are, I mean, they tried it. They tried to sneak it in there, and I am pretty sure with the weighty issues that our country is facing, if it gets slipped into one of those big bills, that'll be all she wrote.
Yep,
because nobody's going to vote against it for that. I think that like I refer to the forces of evil, they know that, and they'll use it.
Yeah, it's a COVID relief bill, I believe they're trying to pass right now. That in the fine print they're trying to work in retics and berms again, as far as I'm aware. But like you said, tragic. And then, of course, whenever this kind of stuff happens, we're always shooting ourselves in the foot. We're always seeing collections pop up that are being mistreated. There was just a video in New York City the other day, which I think they wrote it up as a black rat snake in a subway, but I think it was actually a golden trialed retic making its way through the subway in New York City. Who knows if it was planted? You never really know, but like I said, we're our own worst enemy on this, and there's a lot of things that will be out of our control, but things that are in our control, we just generally got to do better at. But now, like I said, it's getting a little terrifying. We were really hoping to possibly have Phil Goss come on here in the near future.
Yeah.
Possibly talk to him about some of this stuff, because again, it's a topic we're ignoring again.
I will say, I'm not sure what has happened to us as a people. We've got to the point where we accept regulation. We expect to be regulated, and I think, why is that? Why should somebody be able to tell me what kind of snake I can have? I mean, for crying out loud, talk about being involved in the fine details of my life. I think, why should we accept that? Why should we even expect it? And yet we do. We expect that we should have some kind of regulation. And I just reject all of that. I think if you had told my grandfather that somebody would tell me, his grandson, at some point in the future, you keep this snake, but not that snake. Or you can do this, but you can't do that. I'm sure he would have thought, what? How could that possibly be? And yet we have gotten ourselves in a position where we accept a little, we accept a little more, and then we get to the point where we expect that somebody should be able to tell us what we can do and what we can't do. And like I say, I reject that.
Oh, again, not even you.
It's very
Yeah,
well
it really
said.
is. Honestly, this is not the way things are supposed to be. This is not really what this nation was built on. Right now, it's taking advantage, and again, the forces against us are just getting a lot more done than we are right now. And the reality is, and we always made this joke since the very beginning, it's going to start with the big scary snakes, and then it's going to be the scary little turtles and the scary frogs, and then your scary cat, and that's going to be it. All animals will be regulated.
Yeah, and we really do have a responsibility to ourselves now and to the people that follow us to fight this in every form, in every way that it presents itself. We can't allow that to happen. And I don't, and so if it's not whatever you keep, I still think you got to fight whatever it is they're going after, because pretty soon they are coming for you.
No, that really is the truth on the, and I'm a broken record because we've talked about some of this stuff in some of the past episodes, but we talked about it a few weeks ago about how New York has banned the sale of all dogs, cats, and rabbits in pet stores, which is mind-blowing.
It is, and pretty soon people will come to accept that as the norm, and they'll go even farther. And so whatever's happening now, like I say, we have to fight it in every way and every angle, every way. So
this is kind of a tough question to answer because it's really not something that we all have the answer to right now. But our experience over the years is we've been trying to keep up with this by funding the right people to fight for what we believe in and what we want to work with. And it has been working, but we're just going to keep on resetting and having to go back to the beginning over and over again. What is it going to take? Is it going to be educating? What can we do as a hobby at this point to really put a stop to this? Because again, we're living it all over again, and it's only been 10 years, a little over 10 years.
Well, I think we should be careful who we vote for. That's one thing. I am just against these useless, restrictive regulations that come in so many different forms, and it isn't just in our hobby and what we do. I mean, it's everywhere. And I talk to people in different businesses, and everybody deals with these kinds in whatever form of regulations and restrictions. It's just a culture of no, you can't. And I'm a libertarian, and I think I just think, hey, leave me alone.
Yep. I think a lot of us feel the same way. So European law, they have it to where now you can't even breed spider ball pythons, which for each their own. But they have regulations there based on like cage sizing and other things like that.
I'm telling you, you think it's bad here? Well, it's much worse there. So.
Yeah. And I think we do have somebody from Germany coming on our next one, and I'm sure this will be something we're going to want to talk about, regulations and all that. But do you think allowing some regulations on maybe the keeping or maybe having license to do what we do is
it's a slippery slope,
compromise?
And don't get started with that. Don't.
No.
Yeah,
we can edit this out.
Yeah, don't edit it out. I want people to know how I feel on it. I resist a license or a permission. Who the hell do you think you are to tell me that I can keep a spider ball python or not? I mean, how idiotic and silly can you be? It's just silly. You can't breed a spider ball python in England. Unbelievable. Yeah. But you that's coming here if we don't fight it. That is coming here. You want to talk about some silly rules and regulations. At the show in Ham, there's a government veterinarian that comes by and tells me this enclosure is too small for this animal. And I think, no, it's not. Yes, it is. It is. You must take it out. I said, you can't argue with them. That's the government. I think, what do you know what's too small for this animal? You don't know anything about it. You don't know anything about a snake. I'm the guy that does. I know what's right. Well, it doesn't matter what I know. It isn't going to happen. That can't be in that cage. It's too small. And, I'll tell you, you and I, we all know. Does a snake want to be in a big open place? No. If it were in the wild, a ball python would be probably crammed down in the ground in the smallest hole it could fit itself in. And yet, I've got some know-it-all government employee telling me that's not right, and then acting like I'm some kind of an abuser. I think, you don't know anything about anything. Then they tell me, you can't, your displays, the ones that I brought over the first time, no good. Because this animal here can see the animal in the enclosure next to it. Now that causes that animal stress. It's forbidden. It is forbidden. And I think, well, okay, I'm here in your country. You make the rules. I'll do what you want, but they're stupid rules. Yeah. And I'm telling you, I've seen the future. I see what happens in this if you don't fight it. I know what happens. You got to fight it.
Absolutely. I'm right there with you.
Couldn't agree more. Oh, man, you know what? Seeing Bob's going to lose us, and I really enjoyed that passionate finish. I think that's going to take us right into the next one. We keep talking about this for hours, but honestly, I don't want to fizzle. I don't want us to get into some lame-ass topic. I think that's a really strong opinion on something that we're going to all be dealing with again very soon, and hopefully, again, everyone starts taking it serious because, this can be taken away from us, as fucked up as that is. Everything can always be taken away. So
you tell me it's a privilege, and I think, hey, a privilege, you take away a right and sell it back to me as a privilege. I'm not having any of that. I don't want a license. Absolutely. I don't want any of that stuff. Not having it.
Absolutely.
Couldn't agree more, honestly. But like I said, I don't want to cut you short. I know we're going to lose you soon, it sounds like, with your battery. And if you want to keep going, we'll keep going. But like I said, on that note, I'm happy to close this out. If you got to get home, I know we're keeping you right now.
Okay, that's all I got to say. I'm good.
All right.
I enjoyed it. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll I really enjoyed it as well. And we're gonna, you have bobclark.com. You have Facebook, Instagram. See you at Arlington show if you go, or if people want to reach out to you, I'll put your information in the comments down below.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
All right.
But again, really do appreciate it, Bob. Hopefully we'll be seeing you soon.
That was fun. All right. See you guys next time.
Awesome. Thank you. See ya.